Hello everyone, hope you're having a wonderful night. Well, Last of Us fans probably aren't. This appeared 2 hours ago, but I was asleep. I haven't been feeling well. But yeah, The Last of Us Online is supposed to be this new multiplayer isolated live service mode that would have story elements, but unfortunately we have some bad news. Now, Naughty Dog is known for making multiplayer games along with their single player games. They have the same level of quality. Anyone who's played the Uncharted games, Uncharted 2 is where they really showed their teeth. Uncharted 3 was wonderful. Uncharted 4 was also incredible. And The Last of Us multiplayer for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, you can see here. I don't remember. I think, yeah, this is the PlayStation 3 version where I played it. It was such an incredibly fun experience, and it's still going strong today on the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 3 is kind of dead, but yeah, this was an absolute banger of a multiplayer mode where you would gather supplies and try and defeat the other opponent, but at the same time you had to collect enough food and supplies for your own team, not your team, but the people you were in charge of. You would gather supplies, and if you got enough, everyone would live, but if you didn't get enough, people would die. And they had this really cool system where you can import your Facebook friends, so everyone within your community were actually people from your Facebook community. I don't know if they had their pictures or not, their profile pictures or not, but they did have their names and all that. Like, it was amazing. I loved it, and it's really disappointing what we're about to learn. We realized that many of you have been anticipating news about the project we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on that game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially our dedicated Last of Us factions community who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. We've equally crushed at the studio as we are looking forward to putting it in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background of how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we've been working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt unique and had tremendous potential. As the multiplayer iteration of their concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, the vision crystallized, the gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction we were headed in. Look, I have my issues with The Last of Us Part 2, but the gameplay, it was incredibly solid. Having that single player gameplay experience into multiplayer would have been exceptional. Hiding under tanks, using large grass, the amount of mobility that you have and control while sticking to like realistic body physics, it was brilliant, and it could have been something great. It's really disappointing. Like, yeah, that gameplay was solid. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. The release and support of The Last of Us Online, we had to put all our studio resources behind support and post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. Yeah, and I advised that I think that the other issue would have been like creating the studio too big and putting too many resources on one or the other. It would just create too much friction between their studio when you have that many people. We've seen at what happens to companies when they go into live services. These aren't small affairs. Look at what happened with Respawn Entertainment with Apex Legends. They had to go full on Apex Legends in order to ensure that the game had a steady array of updates. It's not cheap and it requires a lot of manpower. Same thing for Epic Games. I don't think Epic Games has actually developed a game since Fortnite. In fact, let's look that up. List. Yeah, they haven't developed technically games since Gears of War and Fortnite. They've just been publishing other people's projects. So, yeah. So, yeah, it would have been really bad because, again, you may have your reservations about The Last of Us Part 2, but it was an exceptional single-player game in a lot of ways when it came to gameplay, mobility, just the shooting elements. The AI was really good. Like, I give it props for a lot of stuff. It really advanced a lot of stuff that people love about single player games, the stealth systems and all that. It built up on on Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, like the idea that Phantom Pain walks so Last of Us could run in a lot of ways, and a lot of other games who use that type of AI system. We are immensely proud of everyone at the studio that touched the project, that the learnings and investments in the technology from the game will carry into how we develop our projects and will be invaluable in the direction we are headed as a studio. We have more than one ambitious, brand new single player game that we're working here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more of what's to come when we're ready. Until then, we're incredibly thankful to our community for our support throughout the years. So yeah, it's just unfortunate, and we've seen this writing on the wall, kinda. Bungie reportedly reviewed The Last of Us Factions, and they found it lacking. So this was kind of the nail in the coffin, and then it came out like rumors that the multiplayer section wasn't doing well, that they had to delay it along with the other single player game that they're working on. And Bungie, look, again, you have reservations against Bungie. It's fair. Like, Destiny 2 isn't doing well within the community, but they know their stuff when it comes to live service games. They're one of the top live service games up there, along with Fortnite and Apex Legends. But I also give them incredible amount of credit for deciding, hey, we have an opportunity to go one or two paths. Do we stick on what people love from us, or do we try this new ambitious different direction that may fail? Because we've seen this type of failure multiple times. We saw it with BioWare when they tried to make Anthem. We saw it with Crystal Dynamics when they tried to make Avengers, and we looked how, even if those games were just single player affairs, they were still lacking tremendously. But they just couldn't survive in the live service market that is today, because most people just stick to one or two live services. Like, I just play Fortnite sometimes, and that's enough for me, because anytime a live service updates new features and new options, it becomes a little too much overwhelming stuff that I have to relearn. Like with Apex Legends, I have to relearn a lot of different things in order to play that game, and it's just not enough time given all the other games that I'd rather play. I'd rather play a single player game, complete it 100%, like God of War Valhalla. That single player DLC is amazing. I'm going to do a review for that. I have to, just to show how much praise this DLC deserves. But at the same time, I think that Naughty Dog should stick to like something like this, like a separate multiplayer mode. Doesn't need to be ambitious and that huge, just, you know, something that players can engage with after they play the single player game like this, or with the Uncharted multiplayer features. I unfortunately don't have any videos for that because I only played it on the PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2. I didn't play the other multiplayer sections of the game. I kind of wasn't a fan of PlayStation's network during that period. But yeah, I think they should just create a separate multiplayer mode. Doesn't have to be a live service. Just be like, hey, here's the multiplayer mode. We'll balance certain elements to it as players played it, just to ensure a balanced experience. We'll add multiplayer max that people can pay for. I'm all for that. I'll pay for multiplayer content if it's really good, and, you know, just do it like that. Traditional stuff that people will gravitate towards, because there is a market for this. There are still people who play The Last of Us multiplayer on the PlayStation 4 still. Granted, it is broken because of the shotgun. There's an automatic shotgun that you can buy off the store, and if you don't have that, you're basically at a massive disadvantage. Everyone uses it. So, yeah, I would think just create a separate multiplayer mode and use the technology that you learned, and maybe we could have something great there. But, you know, it's up to them, and I really think that this was the right path for them, because there are a lot less companies that in the AAA market that just stick to single player games, given the massive investment that they need to put into these types of projects. They have to be massively ambitious in so many ways, and the return on investment is extremely limited, because once a single player game is out, it almost immediately loses its value because of the narrative elements. Like, everyone knows what's going to happen at the end of the game, so a lot of people just watch it on YouTube and they don't really experience it. And there are also financial reasons for that. Some people just can't afford a game that they can only play for a limited amount of time and then be done with that. They want a game that they can play for months or even years ahead. That's why most people buy every year the new Call of Duty, or every 2 years, because they know it's a game that they can play year round and will have new elements to it. So, yeah, that's it for me. Tell me what you think about it. I am glad that Naughty Dog has decided to go in this direction instead of taking that high risk of just jumping onto the live service train, because it's starting to die down. A lot of people just aren't playing live services as they once do. Like I stated, most people stick to one and that's it. But I'm glad. I'm really excited for whatever project they're going to put out. And yeah, that's it for me. Like, dislike, comment, your choice. And that's it for me. Bye.